Greater Sandton and beyond. Get ready for the SANDTON Times Hour
with your host,
Alexander.
Ladies and gentlemen, everyone in between and beyond, this is the SANDTON Times Hour on Mix 93.8 and also available on all good podcast platforms. I'm Alexander Leitner and this is edition 119. It's week 25 of 2023 and we're in the middle of June. It's cold, but I'm thrilled to be with you once more. If you would like to send through your questions, your comments, your feedback, all of those are welcome. You can use the email address editor@sandtontimes.co.za. You can connect on social media at SANDTON Times, whatever social media platform you're on, and also visit the website sandtontimes.co.za. And if you're listening live on Mix 93.8 and not delayed on digital audio on a podcast, well, the WhatsApp line is open for you on 0848 220938. That's 0848 220938. A very special warm welcome to everyone listening in Johannesburg and Pretoria, but also across South Africa or anywhere else in the world, online or on air, wherever you are. I'm happy to report that all is well in Sandton land. And as always, I'm joined by my trusty man behind the mixing desk, Vincenzo. Buongiorno. And Vincenzo, you're right. I'm actually going to Sun City again this week. Can you believe it? I'm actually emceeing a big business award for Forbes Africa and CNBC Africa, but I am staying well away or far away from the segways. I can promise you that. Last week, some great messages coming through on the WhatsApp line, so I'm glad you're using that. A lot of people mentioning some fond memories of their stay at the Palace of the Lost City. So thanks for sending that through. And also another mention of the song Makeba, which we played last week. Somebody saying that it was actually released in 2015. So can you handle it? 8 years later, this thing blows up. And it was released all those years ago. And also the music video, I actually had a look, was shot right here in Johannesburg. So how's that for an international song going all over the world? And we have these unique and interesting ties with that song. I hope you've had a good, long Youth Day weekend. And I hope you also managed to celebrate Father's Day this weekend too. And I managed to enjoy a leisurely lunch with my father. And Dad, if you're listening, I love you very much. And thank you for everything you've done for me over the many, many years. Coming up on this week's show, he is one of South Africa's best-known specialist investigators, and with a new show on Mnet, he has been exploring one of South Africa's most high-profile cold cases. Then they are one of South Africa's most well-loved comedians, and they are bringing some of the best comedy to Sandton. More details coming up. After that, I chat to the country head of an airline that has been traveling to Johannesburg for over 70 years this year. Stay tuned. And finally, another top South African comedian is back with a new comedy show which should have you laughing in the aisles. This and more coming up shortly, but let's get the week started with our first track for the hour.
Show some love.
subscribe, share,
Leave a review and rating for the SANDTON Times Hour
on your favorite podcast app now. The latest news,
the biggest names,
the best destinations,
the hottest entertainment. This is the SANDTON Times Hour.
This is the SANDTON Times Hour on Mix 93.8 with Rafa Fee and Hugel with Ritmo. Let's take a look at the headlines for this week. Well, it's been 37 years since Henry Taylor stepped into the historical role of Shaka Zulu in the hit TV miniseries of the same name. And this past weekend, Mzansi Magic released the first episode of Shaka Ilembe, its largest primetime drama series to date. It's filmed in isiZulu. It's an epic 12-part series which delves into the origin story of the renowned African monarch and military strategist King Shaka. After 6 years in the making, the highly anticipated show featured some of South Africa's most prominent stars, and I'm sure it'll be on DStv catch-up if you missed it this past weekend, and it should make for some epic viewing. So make a plan to add that to your viewing list. I think it's going to be quite an incredible watch to see some of South Africa's top talent on screen, but also behind the scenes doing some incredible things, and I'm sure this will also go around the world. Palesa Dube, a director of advisory firm Wealth Creed in Sandton, well, she won the Financial Planning Institute's Planner of the Year for 2022 and 2023. This is according to an IOL story. The award launched in 2000 and is the most prestigious accolade in the industry. And at a gala dinner at the FPI's annual convention, the professional body recognized Dube as South Africa's top candidate. So congratulations to her. And finally, the Bryanston Country Club celebrated its 75th anniversary. And a big congratulations to all the members there and also the management team for making it through 75 years, and may there be many more. Let's leave the headlines there for this week. If you've been watching television over the past month, you might have tuned into Mnet's Cold Blood, the violent crime cases of Mike Bolhuis, which has reopened the unsolved case of Yolandi Boertes, whose body was found in the Vaal River in 2021. The miniseries has been both heartbreaking, interesting, and also provides a behind-the-scenes look at solving crime in South Africa. I'm joined by specialist investigator Mike Bolhuis right after the break.
You're listening to the SANDTON Times Hour. The best of talk and music in 1 hour. This is the SANDTON Times Hour.
This is the SANDTON Times Hour on Mix 93.8 and available on all good podcast platforms. And as we get the show going for this week, I'm thrilled to be joined by my next guest. And if you've been watching Mnet over the last month, you would have probably seen a new series, a short series that has come up called Cold Blood, the violent crime cases of Mike Bolhuis. And if you are a little bit squeamish, a little bit sensitive, I encourage you to maybe take the next 10 minutes and, do something else, or just, be cautious when you listen, because we're going to be chatting about the case involving Yolandi Boertes. You might remember the mother of three who was found in the Vaal River by a grandfather and a grandson, and she was reported missing, and the case sort of went cold. And this series now looks to uncover what has happened to this case, what has happened, in terms of investigations. And Mike Bolhuis has been on our screens unpacking it in front of our eyes, giving us a behind-the-scenes look of this case. And I'm thrilled to be joined by Mike. And thank you so much for joining us on the SANDTON Times Hour.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity.
Mike, tell me, how did this series come about? How did you decide to sort of bring the general public behind the scenes of what you do and selecting this particular case?
2 years ago, we were contacted by the family regarding a missing person. This is how this case all started. We did the initial investigation. It very quickly turned into a kidnapping case and then into a murder case. First 3 episodes clearly shows, obviously, where we are at now. This is a first that Mnet has aired a show where it's an ongoing investigation. In other words, it's not necessarily a cold case only, or an unsolved case. It's an ongoing case. And the reason why we're doing it is to involve the public. It was our aim all along to get the public, and it will be our aim in future with future shows as well. We've done it a bit in the Bolhuis Series 1 and Bolhuis Series 2, where the series there clearly shows the crime, identifies it, evaluates the crime, investigates the crime, and then solves the crime and put crime prevention in place. So in this series, we are in the first stages. Although it's been 2 years, it is a very, very difficult case because from the beginning, very, very little evidence was available. With painstakingly moving bit by bit forward, gathering new and further information, we have decided after, and it's an honor for us that Mnet has contacted us due to the Bolhuis series, obviously, and asked if we would do a couple of series regarding the violent crime cases of Mike Bolhuis, and the Yolandi Boertes is probably one of others to follow. Mm. Well, so we involve the public by exposing the crime, where we are, how we do it, and what we have, and then asking the public if they have any information or can come forward with any form of assistance. The time will tell how we will further expose where we at.
It's a delicate balance between giving away too much and potentially risking the case, but also wanting to bring people into it and giving people enough information? Because I'm assuming that it's that public information that often is the big deciding factor in unlocking the case.
Any crime, you will always have a few things that is absolutely necessary in order to solve a crime. One, you need witnesses, and with it, whatever the investigation is about, whatever the police or the initial findings with that is available. Two, the assistance of the media, and three, the assistance of the public. If you look at the Thabo Bester case, if it wasn't for the public that came forward, and we were part of that right from the beginning, but the institution, I think it's ground up, came with just a photo. The public came forward, and then it's one of the rare and unique cases in South Africa where everybody was working together with the media in order to get Thabo Bester and his cohorts arrested and found. I had not heard once, we were several times on TV about it and in all the newspapers, I have never heard one single negative comment of this private investigator doesn't want to work with this policeman, or this policeman doesn't want to work with that policeman, or this institution has a problem with that authority, etc. So that everybody just jumped in and did their best with the media. So I want to stress it, that the media can bring a case to succession. And that is what we hope to achieve here as well. Although we have evidence, and although we have a lot of findings, but it is not enough. And you said delicate balance, and that's why I'm very careful with my wording. I can say to you in one sentence, we're sure, or I can say to you in one sentence, we are quite sure, or I can say in a sentence, we're getting there, or I can say in a sentence, this is just another case out of the hundreds that never will be solved. So I can say a lot of things, but I'm not going to say any of those, so I'm going to leave it in the mix. This is a case that we are running this race in a very, very dark night with a torch.
Sure.
But it doesn't mean there isn't light at the end of the tunnel, and that we are not going to get what we're trying to achieve here through this series.
Have you had any positive reactions as yet, or what have those reactions been from people who've watched the show?
Yes, we have. We've received quite a few calls. The advantage of our very strong name, reputation, we're extremely well known, respected, and feared. We wouldn't easily get bogus calls. So the calls we received weren't in the hundreds, but it was in the tens. And we are very happy with those calls because it is assisting. And the lead investigator is ex-Colonel Luke Enslin, and he has the cybercrime team as well as the task team that he is working with, as well as identified policemen that we are working with. So this is a joint venture between, you can say, Mnet, the media, the public, and specialist investigators from my organization and the police. And I hope to, in future, convince the police that they should be more involved with the media and with the public. Because we went to the police and asked them to join in the series, to come and talk and to come and assist, but they bluntly refused. As a matter of fact, when the producers went to see the police, their first question was, is Mike going to investigate us? So that was quite funny. So Rian van Heerden, which is the producer, he is a man with oomph, believe me, and he's very straight, and he has asked literally everybody that could be of assistance in this series to be involved, and that's the police were the only ones that refused bluntly. But I hope to change that, and I understand the situation with the police, but I'm sure in the near future we can convince them to get involved, because I'm telling you once again, I'm doing this for 40 years. All three facets must be involved in an investigation. Is all your findings, all your information on the crime, the public, and the media. If you just take for one day the media on let's say tomorrow, no media reports tomorrow. Have you ever thought of the train smash that would be? I mean, just take, for instance, the normal information being placed about the weather, load shedding, where's accidents, there's a criminal on the loose, there's a new cybercrime attack, this, that, and the other. Without the media, I'm telling you, this world will collapse.
Well, there you have it. Mike Bolhuis talking about his show Cold Blood, the violent crime cases of Mike Bolhuis, which have been on Mnet. You can also get these on DStv Catch Up if you haven't had a chance to watch it from the beginning. I encourage you to watch it. It entails the case of Yolandi Boertes, who was found in the Vaal River, and obviously all the mystery surrounding that. And it is truly well produced, well put together, very interesting, very insightful, and really gives you a behind-the-scenes look at the world of crime in South Africa, violent crime, but also the work that Mike Bolhuis and his team are doing. It's the bottom of the hour. We're going to take a quick musical break and more of the SANDTON Times Hour right after this.
Back for more?
The SANDTON Times Hour continues.
You're listening to the SANDTON Times Hour on Mix 93.8 with DJ Ganyani, and good luck with fading. Taking you to the second half of the SANDTON Times Hour, my name is Alexander Leipner, and if you know how this works every week, if you tune in, you go into the website and you can find everything that we speak about on the show every single week. All the details, email addresses, websites, contact numbers, whatever you need. It's all under show notes. You go into sandtontimes.co.za and you get the detailed breakdown there, and you don't have to worry about writing stuff down during the hour. Also, be sure to check out the social media accounts at SANDTON Times, and feel free to engage there. Send through your DMs, your WhatsApps, your voice notes, your whatever, smoke signals, whatever works for you, and use the hashtag SANDTON Times Hour. Now, a new development in Sandton, which is really exciting, especially on the comedy scene. Goliath and Goliath is a name in the comedy space for many, many years, and they are now returning to Sandton, or Greater Sandton, and they are going back into the comedy space in a big way. And I'm thrilled to be joined by Jason Goliath and Nicholas Goliath to chat about this. And guys, it's great to have you on the SANDTON Times Hour.
Listen, there's no fancier hour on radio in the country. The SANDTON Times Hour. You have to listen to this hour with your pinky in the air. Just to be fancy. Just to be Sandton. Come on.
Jason, it was
and you don't have to write anything down because it's all under notes on the SANDTON Times website. I mean, guys, come on. What are you doing?
Come on.
You know, guys,
come on.
It was
notes anyway.
It was a tight toss-up between the Camps Bay hour and the Umhlanga hour as well. So, but here we are.
Yeah. But those only make money because of foreign investment. You know what I mean?
This is homegrown.
There's no Russian money. SANDTON Hour, not one Russian
supporting
cent.
local.
There we go.
Just about.
Well, talking about supporting local, you guys are coming back into comedy, and maybe before we get into the happy news, let's talk about the sad news. You guys had a great club going in Melrose Arch. I loved going there. Great food, great vibe, great comedy, and at some point, that was it. I don't know if it was COVID, if there was some other motivator behind it, but I miss it.
Can I tell the story, Nick? Can I tell the story?
You have to tell the story, but I first want to say that we all miss it. But
yes, we
story.
do. Firstly, I just want to correct you. It wasn't a great club. It was the best comedy club on the planet. Because if you've been to comedy clubs, you know comedy clubs are normally in underground, dingy, low-rent environments that smell a little bit of like rat and musty pee. You know what I mean? You know the smell of a comedy club.
Dodgy nachos.
Yes. Right. It smells like the night before running stomach. That's exactly what it smells like. So when we built the Goliath Comedy Club at Melrose Arch, our ambition was to build a club that we believed represented the quality of South African comedy. And I honestly believe that we have some of the best comedians in the world here in South Africa for a number of reasons. Our narratives are different. Our stories are interesting. We're birthed into pain and have a different tolerance to the first world. And then we built this club kind of as our contribution to the industry. And we've always believed that the more great comedians there are, the better we will do. So it's not just about us, it's about an industry. We'd opened a little space in Melville, just kind of to make sure that we've got the student market captured as well and a low kind of price point entry. And then May 2019, we get a phone call, somebody offering us to buy the Melrose Arch space, or rather in the way it works there is to buy us out of our lease, because we were on the high street and you couldn't get into Melrose Arch. Never mind, could you dream of getting into the high street? So somebody called us up one morning. Well, my business partner calls me saying he got drunk with some friends and they would love to buy us out. And I did not even, for some reason, I didn't even call the rest of the team. I made the decision on the phone call. I was like, how much? I said, how much? They told me the amount. I said, accept that offer immediately, because there's a reason comedy clubs are done in dark, dingy spaces, because, stand-up comedy doesn't make a lot of money and it can't afford to be in fancy spots. And we were surviving, but it was very, very difficult. So we didn't know COVID was coming when we sold Narrow's Arch, and it would have destroyed us had we kept it. It would have pulled our business. For real. We would have been like the guys. We would have been directing traffic in Sandton, like Hobocop does. You've seen them. You've seen the guys there out there. It's you've seen. We would have been. Hobocop is a registered trademark to Jason and Goliath. You have to say my name after you use that joke every time. So we kind of escaped disaster by selling the club early. Melville closed like every other comedy club on the continent due to COVID, and because of course those businesses are sustained by live entertainment, and live went away.
We're moving into J something space, Artistry. It's a new dining space, a new arts, live music, entertainment. There's even a movie theater if you want to go watch a movie as well. So you guys are moving in there now. You're kicking off your Artistry Comedy Club from the 23rd to 25th of June. Testing the waters, or is this a serious long-term plan?
We've partnered with Artistry and J Something to be their comedy partner. They're looking to just celebrate artists of all kinds. So they've got a listening bar, as you said, they've got a cinema, they've got the beautiful rooftop for live performances. And Jay reached out and said, listen, come and have a look at the space and tell me what you guys think. And we've become their official comedy partner. So we launch with the 3 nights, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and thereafter every Sunday night we will have the best of the best. It's going to be the most exclusive room in the sense that it's only 100 seats, but most exclusive, not for audience, but in terms of who'll get to play. So you will only ever see the best of the best performing, only the top dogs of the country. And essentially think about it as a superhero gym that we are building to kind of train the comedy Avengers for Thanos' approach. That's what it feels like. That's how serious we're taking it. And we've been asked a lot of questions around what about grassroots, what about the stuff that Goliath and Goliath is known for in terms of building the industry. And the fact is that post a pandemic, when you trying to just click out of survival mode back into normal mode, there are so many great acts that suffered. Everybody in entertainment suffered through COVID. And our idea is we first want to get who we believe the big established acts are back on their feet and get their eye in. And those comics will then build audiences that we will feed grassroots comedians into. So in this time, you are not looking to spread the love too far, but rather get those that form the foundation of the industry back on their feet, because everybody took a hit. And it's just the most amazing room. The space is lovely. The address is lovely. I mean, Fredman Drive, Sandton. The kind of synergy between Mikasa and Goliath has always been lovely, and this is nice that we can express that in a different way. But it's really something that we're excited about, in just giving comedy an address in Johannesburg.
Amazing. And Nicholas, I mean, we briefly touched on this before we got going. I mean, you were saying that comedy in South Africa, but also in Johannesburg, needs a big lift up. And I mean, apart from your 2 clubs closing in Melville and in Melrose Arch, we had Parker's Comedy Club, which is also no longer. So there's
the great Parkers.
There's nowhere else to really
Cape
go,
Town
right?
Comedy Club. All of the comedy clubs closed down, like Jason said. So yeah, there's a couple of pop-up gigs that happen regularly. And the reason I say comedy needs help is a lot of the gigs that are being run are kind of open mic gigs, where there's no money, nobody's being paid for the comedy. It's used as a training ground. The audiences, because they don't pay, are not comedy audiences necessarily. So you have a room full of people who don't really want to watch the comedy, which doesn't help either the industry or the audience, because as comedians, there's no motivation to be a better performer if your audience is not enjoying the comedy. And if the audience is not enjoying the comedy, there's no reason. So they kind of feed off each other. And like Jason was saying, what we're aiming for is a platform where comedians have a space to be motivated, to be better, to work harder. And Artistry is the perfect space. It's a place where, like he said, we're going to see the best of the best. And we want to give the young up-and-coming comedians an aspirational room to work towards. Because at the moment, it feels like any room you walk into, it doesn't matter how long you've been in comedy, you can get on stage, which is not how it initially was. You had to work and earn your spot. And with that, with what's happened with COVID, is that now that rule has disappeared, and now we have a lot of people who think that they're comedians and are entitled to stage time just because they've called themselves a comedian. So now it's exciting because now we get to take the best of the best and show people what actual South African comedy is. And it's the best in the world, just so you know.
Well, there, if you have something to entice you, if you're into comedy, and if you want to start supporting this, well, you can head down to Artistry. We'll put all the details up on the SANDTON Times Hour, and you can find out where to get your tickets, what the lineup is, all of those things and more. And Jason and Nicholas Goliath, I thank you so much for making your time on the SANDTON Times Hour.
For those that don't know, even before there was a SANDTON Times Hour, the SANDTON Times has been supporting comedy in Sandton. And we just want to thank you, because that's all we need. That's all we need is just a little bit of support, getting some audiences together. There's no match for the live experience. So if you enjoy watching comedy on your phone, on your TV, on your laptop, you think about that as drinking watered down Oros. Come for the real Oros. Live is an experience of note. And if you haven't already done so, please come. And again, SANDTON Times, thank you for always having our backs and supporting us. Shot for having us on. And we can't wait to see you in the audience. Salute.
It's a good question, because lots of people have asked us that, what are you going to do going forward?
That's a great question.
It's a critically important question.
Such a great and interesting question.
I have not even thought about that until you've just said it.
You're listening to the SANDTON Times Hour.
All right, change of pace, as we always do during this time of the show. And there's a new comedy show coming up in Sandton by Stuart Taylor. It's called Laughable. It kicks off on the 30th of June at the Peter Terrine Montecasino Theatre. And here to chat to me about the show is Stuart Taylor himself. And Stuart, it's great to have you on the SANDTON Times Hour.
Thank you very much, Alex.
Stuart, your show's called Laughable. Is this a direct translation from the Afrikaans belachlik? Because it seems like there's a lot of things that are belachlik at the moment in South Africa.
Listen, the show is very much about remembering that sometimes your power lies in the see things in a funny way. And a day without laughter is a day wasted. So that is very much what the show is about.
Fantastic, man. So, Stuart, I mean, you've been doing this for a very, very long time. Do you find that this is a particularly difficult or particularly funny time in South Africa's very interesting history to have to try and make people to laugh?
Alex, this question comes up all the time, and it's literally been coming up for the last 2 decades, because we always, when we are stuck in the situation we're in, you can't see the wood for the trees. You can't see the silver lining. And I think comedians are often the ones that make people go, actually, things are not that bad. Actually, we should look at it from a different angle. And so for me personally, what I try to do is I always try to stay objective and go, we've been here before. It's just another thing to add to the list. There's always been potholes and there's always been corruption. There's always been those things. So I can either focus on it, or I can just find a way of dealing with it with levity. And it's not to say that by doing so you brush things under the carpet and you excuse things, but just maybe you need a moment where you just remove yourself from the trauma that we find ourselves in. And just go, it's gonna be okay. At the end of the day, we're gonna be okay. We're such a resilient people, and we are such an amazing group of people, and talented people, and fantastic people once we actually get to know each other and hang out with each other. So maybe that's what we do. We find ourselves in theaters and we laugh together at the same things, and we go, actually, you know what? We're all kind of together. And when I do that successfully, then I feel like it's a great time to be doing comedy.
I mean, your preamble to the show talks about how, you're having to deal with being in your 40s, having to keep up with the Joneses. I mean, what are some of the things that you're having to deal with on a daily basis that you draw inspiration from?
So with this show particularly, I wanted to create something which would really make everyone who sits in the audience go, wow, Stuart, this is so funny. So I to take the most basic of human traits. So I didn't want to be overtly political, and I didn't want to talk about anything divisive. I wanted to go, listen, if you're over 40, fat loves a 40-year-old body. So I'm going to talk about the difficulty of trying to join a gym when you're 40 years old, the difficulty of drinking apple cider vinegar and lemon water because you think that's what's going to help you with the dieting. So I just wanted to kind of find those basic human things, what life in the suburbs is like, what having a new puppy is like, and then also just dealing with the world that we find ourselves in, in a post-COVID space where the economy is struggling and people had lost so much during those crazy turbulent years. I kind of just wanted to unpack where we are as people, as humans, as opposed to focusing on the things which are divisive.
Sid, I've got to ask you, because when they sent me this bit of information on you, they also sent me some pictures. And in the picture, you're wearing a suit. And in the suit pocket, you have a packet of Lay's chips. And either I'm assuming this has got something to do with the show, or there's some other symbolism behind having a packet of Lay's chips in your corner pocket of your jacket.
Yeah, and as a pocket square.
Yes.
You know what? It does have a bit of symbolism, and it does tie in to the show. So I do talk about hiding chips packets and chocolate wrappers away from my wife when she thinks I'm actually on a diet. So if you come to the show, you'll understand the Lay's packet as the pocket square. It'll make a lot of sense to you.
All right. Well, there you got a little bit of background information before you go to the show. Stuart, you also did an incredibly successful TV show many years ago called Going Nowhere Slowly, which could probably make a comeback in 2023 and have a whole different meaning. But are you looking forward to doing some television again at some point? Will we have a chance to see you on screens again?
I work quite a lot behind the scenes. Actually, during 2020, I actually shot a comedy series for our public broadcaster, which was called Comedy Mixtape, that I had sort of created and written for and directed parts of it and was the producer on. And that was a great opportunity just to collaborate with my fellow comedians and fellow writers and great actors. So I've done lots behind the scenes, and I would occasionally appear in some of those sketches. But from a personal perspective, I am very keen on shifting to the front of television screens. I've been popping up on ENCA from time to time, doing something called the Comedy Report, which is with Shahan Ramkissoon's new series. So I'm very, very much keen on doing things in front of the camera again, because I have been spending, as I said, the last decade much more behind the cameras and in the office. So I'm keen on stretching my legs. And who knows, maybe a Going Nowhere Slowly in 2023, retracking our steps and seeing what we did back in the day would be just what this country needs.
I must say, I thoroughly enjoyed that show. It was quite different. I mean, it wasn't necessarily a comedy show, but it was really great. And I mean, if you enjoy road trips around South Africa, I mean, it's just that kind of show that just give you some great insights into places to go and things to see in and around South Africa. But things to see for people listening right now: Laughable comes to the Peter Terrine Montecasino Theatre. It starts on the 30th of June. It runs till the 2nd of July, and tickets are available on web tickets. So if you're interested and going and having a laugh and just switching off from the mundane and the everyday, go get yourself a ticket on web tickets. And Stuart Taylor, it's been absolutely fantastic chatting to you on the SANDTON Times Hour.
Thank you very much, Alex. I look forward to seeing you in the front row. I promise I don't make fun of anyone in the front row. Only second row.
I don't know if I trust comedians when they say that. But we're going to take a quick musical break, and we'll be right back after this.
Online, on air,
anywhere, anytime.
This is the SANDTON Times Hour.
This is the SANDTON Times Hour on Mix 93.8 and available on all good podcast platforms. And that was Nine Toes with Finder, the Carl Cox remix, taking us into the final minutes of this week's edition. And a conversation I've been wanting to have for quite some time. It's an anniversary, as quite a few companies are celebrating anniversaries, funny enough, this year. I don't know, there must have been something about the 3 in 2023, if you go back 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 years, that seems to have been a notable year. Well, one of those companies that is celebrating one of those notable milestones is Air France. And believe it or not, 70 years ago, Air France flew from Paris to Johannesburg for the very first time and haven't stopped. I mean, they're still flying to Johannesburg. And Wilson Tauro, he is the Air France-KLM country manager for Southern Africa. He joins me on the line. And Wilson, I mean, neither you nor I were around 70 years ago, but maybe you can provide some context as to what that historic moment must have been like.
Well, thanks, Alex, for having me on the call. I think one of the things that's really important for us in terms of the continent Africa is how much it means to Air France. We've been flying across the continent, but specifically South Africa is very, very important in our network. We started flying 70 years ago and continued flying through this time. Even if you look at the period during COVID, when most of the airlines were restricting flights into Africa and specifically in South Africa, we did have regular flights to make sure that we keep that connection between Africa and Europe. And we're really proud of that. 70 years, it is a long time. It means we are also a part of the history of the country. We are celebrating also as a company 90 years, and 70 of them is been flying to South Africa. So we are very, very proud and happy to celebrate this milestone here.
Well, bon anniversaire on that. And I mean, if you go back 70 years to Johannesburg, I mean, I've seen some photos. I think Jan Smuts is what the airport was called back then. And as far as I know, it was a thatch roof and a single standing house and a runway strip. And I think less exotic and less tempting as the airports that we have now. Fast forward 70 years, I'm sure the air travel and the experience has changed dramatically on Air France. I know you've even got an A380 now, probably quite different to the jet or propeller plane that was around 70 years ago.
Yeah, I've been told that 70 years ago, it took us a couple of days to get here. We used to have 4 or 5 different stops before actually reaching South Africa. And now in 10 hours time, you can fly nonstop into Paris. We used to fly the 380 for the longest time. That's our flagship product that we had in our fleet. But sadly, during the COVID period, we had to retire the 380 purely for efficiency reasons, and now we operate the 777-300. The reason why we switched to an aircraft which is much more fuel efficient, because at the end of the day, we also need to look at the future. We need to look at the future generation, what kind of efforts we do as an industry or as an airline to reduce our emissions, which means investing in new aircrafts. Also focusing on sustainable fuels and things like that. And I think we've come a long way. If you look at how we are positioning ourselves as an airline, we're positioning as a company that is really focused on responsible transportation of people, and that is something that really makes me proud.
And right you are. I mean, I think that's where the big focus is across the board, especially in travel. You've also got the Rugby World Cup coming up in France this year. I mean, that must also be quite a big one for you, especially with South Africa having such a notable team competing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, the fact that South Africa is the defending champions, there is a lot of interest from South Africans to travel into France. And what we have done is we've introduced additional flights during this period. We will have a total of 1,400 extra seats every week between Paris and Johannesburg. And we're hoping that this will cater to the demand that will be there to fly into France at this time of the year.
Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be quite a few Springbok fans that are going to take up that offer. Any new developments that you've had of late on Air France that people should know about? I mean, for those who fly regularly, they've probably picked up on it. But for those who haven't, what are some of the standout things that you've brought online over the last couple of months?
So we've recently introduced new cabins on the route to Johannesburg. So if you look at the business class product that we had, that's completely now refurbished into a product which gives you full privacy. It's full flat beds. We have changed our premium economy product as well. We used to have 28 seats, but now we offer 48 seats in premium economy, purely because we see that there's a demand for that extra comfort that the customers would like. And of course, we have also refurbished our economy class cabin just to make sure that this long flight the customers take from Joburg to Paris is much more comfortable. So we're really proud that these aircrafts are positioned for the South Africa routes. And it's one of the first routes that in the network that we have introduced that.
Amazing. I know there's something quite unique about Air France. I mean, I suppose it also comes back to the French heritage that you also enjoy. That some of the unique touch points that you have is that the cuisine and also champagne as well play a big part of the journey as well.
Absolutely. I mean, France is known for its arts, its culture, its gastronomy, and I think we want to give customers the experience of stepping into France the minute they step into an Air France aircraft, and I think that's really where the experience comes in the chic French flair that you expect from France is what you get on an Air France airplane.
Fantastic. Well, if you're listening and that's whet your appetite, well, there's a good incentive now for you to go check out Air France, celebrating 70 years. Maybe you've even were around when the first Air France plane landed, or maybe you were on that plane when you came to Johannesburg. It'd be quite fascinating to hear from you. If you are and you know how to get in touch. But we'll also put up all the details up on the SANDTON Times website. And Wilson Tauro, Air France-KLM Country Manager for Southern Africa, thank you for making time to be on the SANDTON Times Hour.
Thank you, Alexander.
And that's it for the SANDTON Times Hour on Mix 93.8 and available on all good podcast platforms. If you want to get in touch, you can email editor@sandtontimes.co.za or connect with us on social media @SANDTON Times and visit the website www.sandtontimes.co.za. And also feel free to send through your questions, your comments, your thoughts and your feedback. All of those are always welcome. And thank you to all the guests who made some time to be on the show this week. Vincenzo, as always, thank you for your talent and your expertise in making sure that we get this out every single week. And thank you to the SANDTON Times team as well as everyone on Mix 93.8. And overall, thank you to you for listening every single week. And let's connect again next week.
That's it for this week. Thanks for listening to the SANDTON Times Hour. And if you enjoyed it, be sure to share it.